This is Too Long for a Voice Note, a podcast about everything and nothing at the same time, presented by Claire
and Enzo. Our podcast is produced in London. Some conversations are just too long for a voice note.
Hi guys, she's Claire.
And he's Enzo.
And this is Too Long for a Voice Note.
Hello everyone.
Welcome guys. Welcome.
Welcome back.
So excited to be back on a new episode of our beautiful podcast.
Thank you guys so much for joining us again. Please do remember to like, share, subscribe. It really, really helps our channel and our podcast to grow. So just one tiny little click.
It's so easy. It's really easy. And you need just drop a comment, drop an emoji. It's really easy. And also remember to follow us on our social medias. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, blah, 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 blah. TikTok. We're TikTok, yeah, so we're there as well. So we are like, God, we're everywhere. Look at you. So thank you so much, guys, to click again on our beautiful channel.
How was your week?
It's been okay. I got my second job finally on last Sunday. So we're ready to party and travel.
We're going to be in the club.
No, it's good. I got the second job. I'm feeling totally fine now. It was a bit rough in the first days, but totally cool now. So it's nice. We get that done. Get it done. Get the vaccine done. So I'm happy that that's out of the way.
Yeah.
The rest of the week just walking. We met during the week, right?
Oh, yeah, we did a Jack the Ripper tour. Nice
random.
And cheery.
It was random, but I really like it. I mean, I like the experience because I've never been like on a
walking
tour. Yeah,
in London. I've never done a walking tour in London.
Imagine, we haven't. We went for like a group with Wins and Sam, and none of us we have ever done like a walking tour. So it was a really cool idea.
I really recommend doing it. You know, if you're not watching from the UK, like if you ever come on holiday to London or anything, like it's a free thing. So
and I bet there's many other topics as well and things. So
there's an Alfred Hitchcock one which I would love to do.
That would be cool. That would be interesting.
It's a bit more up our street a bit because Jack the Ripper. I mean, it was a bit heavy.
It was heavy, yeah. Well, you know the guy. I mean, hello, like tour person. He was really a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
He was really passionate about it. Even though, for example, I don't really never care a lot of Jack the Ripper.
No.
But now I have all this information about it. It's like, oh, fucking crazy. And we were like walking through the streets where these things happen and this guy kill all the prostitutes. So it was really interesting. Maybe what if we get into like tours and we're gonna be like this, that, we're gonna be those people once a week.
I think it's when you get a little bit older. I can see that definitely happening because I think I would not have been up for this when I was 20.
Right.
And I'm like, that sounds very pleasant.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
Your
week? How was your weekend? You're like,
it was fine. Just story of my life. Just super busy at work. I don't really know what else to say.
I'm trying to think business woman.
Trying to think of anything interesting to update on. Not really. Yeah. Oh, I know. I have something. This is the highlight of my week.
What?
I've been watching Money Heist.
Ah, true.
What is it in Spanish? Casa de Papel.
Casa de Papel.
It's really, really good.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It takes me a lot to kind of get through it because I don't really have that much time. And it's quite heavy, but it's really good.
I get it. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll check it. Yeah.
That was pretty much the most interesting thing that happened. So, whose week is it this week?
This is my week. This is my time for Enzo's secret topic of the week. I want to talk about like raising kids and the future of the future generation.
Interesting.
And how we raise kids in the future.
Super interesting topic.
All this conversation, I mean, we had a few conversations about kids and like education and all this type of things. And I think because we're in our 30s, clearly this conversation is around us a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, why I choose this specific topic? First, because, you know, we always talk like, I don't know, obviously this is from our point of view. We are not telling anyone. I think with parenting, it's a very interesting topic because you can't tell anyone how to do things. You need to figure out your own way, how to do it, I guess. But we always talk about how difficult it's having a kid nowadays for the environment, the future. Like some will say, like, "Oh, why you will bring a life to this war if the war probably will end like soon because we're in a shit show." But then some people say, "Oh, but we need people for the new generation." Blah 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 blah. So anyway, this comes a lot because this came to my. I wanted to talk about this because I think last week I found this article randomly on the internet that was talking about this American family who is raising their kid like without a gender. So it's like non-binary. So basically, it's something called gender creative or non-binary or like open gender kind of thing. It has a lot of terminology for this, and it's obviously it's based on with doctors and science and all of that, blah blah blah. The thing is, it goes around the idea of you raise your kids without pronouns, so they're not like a she or like a him. They're just like them, for example. The goal of this is kind of to eliminate the gender-based oppression that society has. For example, like if you are a boy, you need to do this and that. If you're a girl, you need to do this and that. Some people say, oh, this may confuse kids because you're not telling them since they're really small who they are, and you give them like free will to choose, which is actually, I find is really good. But actually they say like all kids around 2 and 3 years, they already know if they're she or him.
Really?
So it's interesting because really early on, I mean, the whole thing, it goes, if you don't tell your kid if you're a he or a she, at 2 or 3 years older, they will already identify themselves.
So they're going to tell you.
They're going to tell
at
you.
2 or 3 if you don't tell
that's
them.
Around
That's
the
really
age.
young.
Really young. I was surprised as well.
I thought it would be more like 7 or something like that. But
Normally what happens is around 2 and 3 years, they already know what they are.
Okay.
So anyway, where I'm going with this, I think for me this is very interesting because I think the thing about having kids nowadays is how we like bring these kids to this world and what we teach them and how we shape them to be. And I feel like nowadays it's not just enough to say like, oh, I'm a good person, so I'm gonna raise a good person, because I think the world it's different right now. You just need to raise a good person. It has to be a person with like good values, be environmental aware, socially aware. But it's a lot of things you need to take care of when you're having a kid.
I agree with what you're saying, but don't you think that comes from a position of privilege to be able to say that, to be able to say like we need to kind of like give the kid the chance to identify their own gender and that sort of thing, because that, you know, you kind of like, because you say like, oh well, we need to take all of these things into consideration, but that, you know, that's not the reality for a lot of people. I know what
you mean, because it's a really privileged thing, because you have to be first in a circle of people that accept this, understand you, like a social thing that it's kind of like open enough to be like, oh, he's it's not she or him, they or whatever. So it's true, it's come from that as well. So I think my question would be like, if we are not on like a ideal place where you can give your kid this freedom to identify themselves slowly for what they are, what are the choices? How can we make this better? And I do feel the way that we raise kids normally or like traditionally, it's really damaging. The way that we tell like boys that they have to be this, wear this and that, and girls do this and that, and have all these roles. It's really problematic at the end. That's why we have a lot of the issues we have nowadays.
This is definitely something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, because I think this year I've been going through this kind of process of like, do I want a child? Because I always kind of like, we spoke about this. I'm going to leave a link in the cards to our Would I Be a Good Mother episode, because I think that one thing that has always kind of frustrated me, and I think we definitely have felt that with our friends, is that like being a parent is just something that you do, and that isn't and like a thing to tick off your list. Like, for example, you just need to get married, or like every single year you need to get a promotion, or like you buy a house and then you buy a bigger house, and that's like, that really shouldn't be the case for having children, but it often is. And I think that's where we sort of run into these problems of like people becoming parents when they shouldn't. A lot of the problems that we have, for example, you mentioned toxic masculinity, and of course we talk about feminism all the time on this podcast, because the world is still super, super difficult for women. And all of those problems come from, of course, the way that we were raised, and the way that our parents were raised and our grandparents were raised, and then throw in different factors like different cultural backgrounds as well. So how great would it be if like we could all kind of get rid of those? Would you raise your kid without like in a gender creative environment? Do you think that would be an option for you, or would you like to explore it? It's a really good question. Okay, this is going to sound really controversial. Yeah, go for it. I don't mean to sound rude or anything like that. Maybe this is because I think about this a lot, but I think it's kind of cliche.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be afraid of being a cliche because I'm vegan, I'm feminist, I live in London. Like, no doubt if I have a child in
Will
like
be no
this,
gender. It will be like,
you know,
of course.
and it's like, of course the kid is like,
Yeah.
I shop at a zero waste shop, like that kind of thing. But then, isn't it a better way? It's a really, really tricky one, and I've actually never thought about that. I think if my kid was saying, like, I don't identify with like being a boy, I want to be a girl, or I'm a girl and I don't identify with that, I want to be a boy, then of course I will be very supportive of that. But then would I raise the child non-binary from the beginning? I really don't know. Would you?
Maybe. The thing is, it's really interesting that we give so much importance to the gender since we are born, when I think it should be. It doesn't mean to be like the other way around, but there's many other things that we should be taking care of before
Completely
the gender.
true.
You know,
Completely.
it's like education, like values, like again, there's many other things that it should be more like on the top of the list. 10, make so sure that it's a boy or it's a girl. You know, why is this relevant when you are learning? Why is this so important to make it like, oh, you're a girl and you're feminine? And that's where I think the problems comes from. Like, why we need to tell a baby that it's in these bots, in these gender boxes that are so small?
It's because we haven't had a way for society to function any other way.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
what people are sick of.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's harder probably to raise a kid non-binary, I would imagine, because
probably.
like you said, you have to, maybe your group of friends need to be kind of supportive of that. Like, how will the kid do at school? Would the kid need to go to a different school? Or like, how would their experience be in that way? Because we know that kids aren't typically that kind sometimes at like, you know, primary school, for example. I think, and like, wouldn't it be great if we could focus on like what that little person is just
beyond
naturally good at, or like their spirit, or like their personality, like that kind of thing, rather than all of that. Is it realistic? I don't know.
The thing is, like, things been going in a really like in a wrong way for so long means that we are doing things wrong as we do for a whole society and history. So it's good to try new things to see if it works better, because clearly this is not working as it should work 100%. So maybe why not? One thing I think it's like, maybe I think it's because I feel it's really like difficult to say like, oh, I won't give a gender, I won't tell my kid what gender the kid is, but my baby, but maybe to find a way to always review it, which I think we're lacking when we are kids. And I mean, you know, your mom never questioned probably or mine, like, oh, are you liking this feminine thing, that you like the kitchen, or you like the little kitchen with the Barbie to play, you know what I mean? Like, you have instincts, but maybe if I'm a boy, and maybe I think I never had it, but if I wanted to play with a Barbie, of course they wouldn't let me to play with a Barbie because I'm a boy, because that's how it is, probably.
It's interesting.
That's how it goes.
You made me think of something that I think was actually kind of interesting. My mum was always really keen to like push, like, to be like a career woman on me, which I am. I'm super into my career. Not that I don't want a family, but really in career. So she would always discourage me from playing with dolls.
Amazing.
And always encourage me to have like, I had like a little like till and all of that, and like had like a little shop and all of that, just like
that's kind of cool.
So, but that again is like, but then that's like everything, because I wonder if like, because like everything that you take, like even if you raise your baby gender neutral, you're still most likely putting ideals onto them in that way, because my mum was subconsciously telling me, let's not focus on having a family as the most important thing, let's make you have a career, which is probably positive in some ways, but that's still like an agenda that she was pushing.
That's very true.
And so we all do that all the time, and that's scary.
And I think that's why when it comes all this like gender creative concept or idea, which is like, do you let your kid to choose and to make their own choices, like what I want to wear, what I want to like, if I like this color, if I don't like this color. So it's like, I think, in a way, I think it's a really, because I think parenting is a very difficult as it is. And if you go this route, it's probably harder. But I think it is a really interesting idea to be, because you need to be with your kid all the time and reviewing everything all the time.
True,
So it's a bit
yeah.
harder. Like, if you're giving your kid this cup, it would be like, oh, do you like the color of this cup? It's like, oh no, it's not my color. I like other color. Cool. So you need to be like in a constant review, in a constant like being really present what the kids like. If something is not right for them, change it. Let them make their own choices.
And again, that's privilege.
And
That
that's
is such privilege,
privilege.
because to have the
That's a
time to
privilege.
say,
Yeah, that's the time.
do you like that cup or do you not like that cup? You know, because a lot of, and this is the reality, like a lot of people don't have babies when they should, or they don't feel that they're not in the right place of their life, but they decide to have a baby regardless, completely fine. But then it's more of a struggle, and then the life is difficult. And it's, do you know what I mean? It's like, and that's what makes me feel kind of funny about it, in the terms of like, when I was talking about like being a cliche, it's like, oh well, of course, like, because you have like, you're like a white
privilege.
woman living in South
Of course.
London, like of course you're going to have like a gender neutral child, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
If you had a baby and a child, and the child was non-binary, but then the child was getting really badly picked on at school and was being bullied, then what?
That's the thing, because you need to have again privilege, because probably you need to put your kid on a special school which is very open and modern, so that probably is more money, probably it's not like a local school, it would be like a private school. So again, that's the thing,
Right.
so it's, as you say, like, I feel it's good as kind of like a conclusion. I think it's good, like, people with privilege and people who can do it, they try it, because I think it's good because they have all the means to do it. They have the money, they have the space, they have the time probably. And let's see from there, because if this change start to happen, and maybe then other things would pick up, maybe it will be more public school with a gender neutral, public schools that are more like non-binaries are welcome, blah, 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 which I don't know. Maybe there's a few in London, maybe there's a lot, I have no idea, which I think there's not that many still, even we living in London, but I don't know, I find it really interesting. And funnily, I was watching like the latest season of Sex Education.
Okay, yeah.
Which I'm not really loving this season. By the way, I think this series, if you haven't seen Sex Education, I think this series is really good for everyone.
I
for
agree,
us, for all the, especially for parents, because I think there's a lot of like things that as a parent you need to take care of, and because it's so open and honest and makes so much sense that if you want to be a parent, I think you should watch Sex Education.
Yeah.
Not only the kids. So anyway, it was this episode where it was like they have to make, in a nutshell, 2 cues. It was like boys and girls, and there's a new character. There's no spoiler because nothing really particular. It's a new character, which is she's non-binary, and she was like, where I should go, and the teacher, she was like, well, you're a girl, you go to the girl. I was like, I'm not a girl, I'm not identified with a girl, I'm not binary. And it was this dichotomy of like, oh, so what I do? And the teacher was like, well, you should go there. So she was like, the girl was the character. She was like, oh, well, so you're basically doing 2 cues, a cues for penises and a cues for vaginas. If you put it like that way, I'm okay, because I have a vagina, so I can go to the vagina's cue. But don't tell me it's a gender, like a boy and a girl, because some of us, we're not boys or girl, we're non-binary. So it goes around this, so that's
it's something
part of the
because I have to
thing.
say, like, I have noticed a lot in London, especially maybe places that we go. I understand that there are non-gender specific bathrooms that I will definitely use as well. Like, it's completely fine, and there are always in like bars and stuff, and like in like the like BFI, which is like a cinema here, like all of that kind of thing. So I think
sometimes it has like a dress one side and like a suit in the other side, so it's like both blended.
But I guess with talking about this as well, which we probably won't have time for today,
because we have to chop now.
Exactly. Like, that's definitely a conversation about the education system as well, because I think it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? And that's what you're talking about with sex education, because it's the parents, but then you're not with your parents most of the time when you're a child. Most of the time you're in school, and therefore what's going on there, and how are they taking care of all of this kind of stuff, which I don't think that does get taken care of.
True.
In any way. I mean,
probably.
It's been a long time since we've been at school, but like...
But I don't think it has changed as drastically. Yeah, that's some of the things about, like, raising a child.
I wanted to say one thing as well, sorry to interrupt you, love. That there was a video that was circulating on Facebook or Instagram that I've seen recently, where this mum is talking about how... I believe her child was born male, but like she's let the hair grow long or something like that, so he kind of looks like a girl, like
Yeah.
typically what you would think of as feminine. And she was saying it's crazy when I don't correct them and say, oh no, he's a boy, all of the crap that they put on her because she's a girl. Like, oh, isn't she beautiful? Isn't she so pretty?
Yeah, it's
Oh, she's
difficult,
going to
right?
be really, really cute. And before they know that, so all of that language, because that's what people think, they're not being unkind in saying what a beautiful girl you have, but it's, of course, it's like a beautiful girl, because that's the best thing that you can be as a woman, is pretty or beautiful
Pretty.
or
Oh,
cute.
that's a lot.
And then she's like, oh, but he's actually a boy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that's so fascinating,
It is crazy, right?
because I
Yes.
think it's like, I understand this is kind of like a pessimistic way to be. So I don't know, like I will say, to answer your question, like the jury's out, to be honest. And I'm probably a few years off of having a baby at this point. But like, you can raise your baby that way, but is the world ready
That's the thing.
for you? And I understand, like, that's not how things work. Like, I would never have said that of, oh, well, is the world ready for veganism when I went
think
vegan years ago?
You can
No.
do your
And
best
then-
at home.
Exactly.
kind of thing.
You can do your best, but it's slightly different for like being a vegan. It's like my choice, where it's like a little like somebody else, you know, like
I think kind of conclusion, I feel that we need to be, if we want to have a kid, which is our point always, we need to be very aware of where you're going with it. And it's not only your rules and your views on someone else, because this someone else has also like feelings, views and things. And what if your kid is a trans kid? You need to be prepared for this thing. It's not like there's a book or you have to be like, I need to be prepared for everything, but you need to be open to have different conversations with your kid and always try to be open. I feel like, I don't know if I will have a kid and be like gender neutral. I think maybe that's really complicated, but I would like to be open and kind of review always with the kid
that idea.
to like have an open conversation about what it feels, how you feel, blah blah blah, because it's something that we don't have, you know.
Yeah.
We don't have normally like our parents, because it's a different generation, they're not raised like that, to be like, how you feeling, what you like, what you don't like, how this makes you feel, you know, this type of like open communication and see where the mind is going, so you don't put anything on
I
the
agree.
I don't know,
I think also, like, when, you know, people have children for the wrong reasons, I believe, and it's very easy for us to sit here and say that because
Of course.
we haven't made that choice yet, and neither of us really have like a complete pressure to have a baby.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I understand that, but people do have children for the wrong reasons, and I think parents think that we've probably both felt this as well, like, parents feel like they own their children, and so then if their child becomes trans, for example, it's like, but that's not what I thought you were going to be. But
And it doesn't work
actually,
like
it's
that.
not like they are you, but they're not you. You don't own them
Yeah.
because you don't own anything. Like, you don't own your partner. And I believe that's where a lot of relationships go wrong as well. And it's the
Yeah,
same with parenting.
definitely.
Like, it's because they're not fulfilling the image that you had. And I think that's why I would imagine people have like a problem when their children are
Yeah.
gay, for example, because it's
For
like,
sure.
oh, I didn't expect that you would be
Yeah.
like that, but
That's part of
not
the
the way
thing.
that the world
Yeah.
works, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to talk about this, Claire. What do you think?
So interesting.
Well,
Let's
you
do
can
the
give me your
recap.
I'm gonna recap. You have about 60 seconds to tell me
Oh golly.
a recap of all of this. What do you feel, or what you will do if you have a kid?
And so it's like, what will you do?
What will you do? Tell me now. Tell me, Claire. Go.
I think it's a super interesting topic, and I think that it actually isn't something that I've really considered, even though I like to think of myself as super open-minded, forward-thinking. When you asked me, like, would you raise your child gender neutral, it's not something that I would definitely initially say yes. I think I need to think more about it.
Definitely.
I think that it would be such an amazing change in society if we could all let go of like gender ideals a little bit more,
pressure
and like expectations, and men need to be this and women need to be that. How great would the world be? Do I think that will actually happen? No, I don't.
yeah.
But I think that we can all make small changes to like help, and the jury is out, I think, but
Yeah.
very interesting. Oh my god, I still have 10
You
seconds.
have
I'm
10
just like,
seconds, yeah.
no. I mean, I would like to think that I will be a good parent. I don't know what to say. But
It's a hard one. It's a hard one.
It's a hard one to summarize.
Yeah,
I
it's hard to
think.
summarize, but I think it's good to be open to this conversation, especially.
I think so too. I also actually should have added this in my recap, but I just thought of it. I really liked
Too late. It's like burn.
Like, your thoughts are done.
Yeah.
I really liked your idea of like reviewing the.
I know you like reviewing.
I bloody love a review.
You're like, yes to all
How are we
of that.
doing? Checking in, but actually checking in with the child and being like, how is this feeling, and like not.
Yeah, like, are my expectations of what I'm putting on you right?
I just think every time we talk about this more and more, because we had a conversation about this in the week with friends.
Yeah.
I just think it's so hard to be a parent.
It's
So
a new
tricky,
human
and like
you're
you
creating.
really need to think about it. It's not a puppy, you know.
It's not a puppy, yeah.
End of discussion. It's not a puppy.
Yeah.
Have you thought about raising your child gender neutral, non-binary? What are your feelings? Tell us in the comments.
So thank you guys for watching,
Thank
listening,
you.
and keep in touch. See you very soon.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.